Hey guys, it's that fucking panda. I am here with Robotica Fury, also known as Edna Lugo. She is the owner of Chief Hair Salon, also Cut Hair Like Female, and she is amazing musician, producer. She makes 80s synth pop. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I know, as good as we can be. We're 2021, new president, new year. So hoping for the best. So I just want to start by, I love your visual aesthetic to everything you do, your music, your art, your hair. You have such a unique style. And I just wanted to know, like, what inspires your aesthetic and your style?
Well, I have a lot of inspiration coming from, my roots, which is in Mexico. So I grew up listening to a lot of 80s pop music, rock en español, which is a whole movement that happened back in the 80s when British, like, synth pop was very popular, and there were no, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because Mexicans didn't want to listen to their own artists, but there was no new artists emerging in that genre. So they started doing a lot of, like, the version in Spanish of that song. So basically covers.
Yeah.
But I actually, surprisingly, a lot of people didn't even knew, like, the real version. They thought it was just like a new song, which is kind of interesting. I mean,
That's awesome.
I don't know, depending on how educated you were, because back in the day there was no Instagram, no internet, so it was, the news will travel slower. No.
Totally. What were some covers? Do you remember any that, like, really spoke to you?
There's this one song. Okay, here we go. You know the song Voyage, Voyage. Na 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 la 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 na 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 oh na na na. It's like a European lady, right? And I don't know if the song came out in the 80s, or I think it was probably 80s, like late 80s. And then this really popular boy band in the early 90s came out with this song called Vuela Vuela, which is like a very, very, like, everybody knows what Vuela Vuela is in Mexico. So then the song in Spanish is Vuela Vuela, no te hace falta equipaje, vuela Vuela, vuela.
Oh, I love it.
Despierta tu mente.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so that's like one, that's one example. But actually that song came out in the 90s, so early 90s. So it's been happening actually since the Beatles. Like, people in a lot of Mexican artists used to cover, the Beatles, or who knows, like, back from the. So it's been like a culture thing that has been happening for a long time. So, that's my story.
I love that. I love before COVID and everything, just going down to Mexico and seeing the shows. And there's so many artists in San Diego that have come from Mexico, and I feel like there's this, like, mix of cultures, and just the vibrance and the energy of it is just, like, so powerful. So yeah, my next question, you kind of answered it a little bit, but can you tell me just, like, how your musical journey got started? I know you've been in multiple bands and now you're doing your own thing, but how did you get started with music as a kid? Or tell me just about your musical journey and how you got started just loving music and playing music.
So I started when I was like 8 years old. My mom bought me this tiny piano, and I was a single child, and my mom was a single mom, so she would be working all the time, so I'll be at home alone a lot. So my way of, like, keeping myself entertained was that I will write songs. So I will legit do the whole lyric, like, try to, like, do chords. I was like, it's so strange now to me, now that I'm older. I'm like, that's kind of, like, pretty advanced for, like, my age. but I will legit had like all these books wrote in with poems and like trying to write songs. So what I will do is I will listen to songs on the radio, and then I'll like write the lyrics, you know, back in the day, like old school, like I will like record the song in a cassette player, and then I will like
I used to do
play
that too.
bit by bit, and I'll be like, and then most of the songs that I liked were obviously in English, right? So I will like make up the words. I'm like, I think it's saying that. So then I'll like go like this, and then I'll try to like replicate that lyric into like Spanish, and that would be like my way of keeping myself busy, you know, when I was little. But that though was like the whole like replicating the song from like another song. That was probably when I was like 10 or 11. You know, I first started like writing my own poems and songs, and then I will like do shows for my mom when she'll come back from work, and I'll be like, hey mom, I have this new song. She'd be like, okay, let me listen. And I'll like take out my piano, and I'm like, da 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 da. The sun da 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 is bright and yellow. Stuff like that, you know. And then so yeah, now when I turned 12, that's when I got my first guitar, and then I started playing with guitar, and then got pretty good at it, and then I started I think at that time I was maybe I started experimenting first with recording before I was in a band. So because at the time it was pretty hard for women to join bands, okay? So like 13, 14, 15, me, no one wanted to have a band with me. So it's like, fuck you guys. Sorry, I said fuck you. Oh, okay.
Oh no, it's fine. That's funny. But I was just saying, was this in Mexico that you were doing?
All this in Mexico, yeah. That was even before I knew how to speak English. So this is all in Spanish, okay? So imagine all this scene in like a sepia tone.
It has to be. You go back to the childhood days.
Yeah. Abuelita.
That was beautiful.
Abuelita, yo te quiero. Only in Spanish, okay? Subtitles.
So, were there any like songs in English that helped you learn English? I guess, or any like
Backstreet Boys.
What?
Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears, honey.
There you go. Oh, I love it. That's amazing.
Baby, how was I supposed to know
that something
wasn't right here? Oh, baby.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Oh my goodness. So, okay, going on, so like your new music or the music that's been released that's out right now that we can find, I feel like it's inspired a lot by the Asian culture, and you filmed your music video in Japan. How did you kind of transition from getting inspired to that culture, and tell me more about your music video process as well.
Yeah, so actually the Asian culture, it's there's actually a reason of why I kind of became so intrigued by it, and it's because when I was from a very early age, I used to get teased because I looked Asian in Mexico. And and it was like a thing, and I even had a nickname and everything. And at 1 year younger, you know, like there's all this, you know, like bullying and stuff, but it's just part of school. Like everybody has a thing they're bullied for, no? And the thing I was bullied for was that I look like super Asian. And I mean, yeah, it's true. Even my mom, she told me when I got born, she thought I wasn't hers.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Because she was like, she doesn't look like me at all. Like, what the hell? You know, like I look like legit Asian when I was like a baby. So it was kind of like a whole thing that I grew up with, like a sort of like a I don't know, like identity crisis where I didn't look Mexican, and you know, I'm trying to fit in with all this really hot, I mean, come on now, Mexican girls, huge eyes, huge mouth, you know, like You know how they have like there's a certain aesthetic in the Mexican, beauty, or the typical, stereotype. So for me, I never like fit in anywhere. I was like, oh, whoa, I guess I'm like, I don't know, what am I? And then my mom used to tell me like, oh no, like, you could be a model, but it's like, no, only if you like, this is Mexican moms, all right? I'm gonna tell you. She told me, well, like if you get a nose job and if you, because it's like, back in the day, it's like you have to fit in, right? So I'm like, no, but why? Well, your nose is kind of like, it's funny because it's totally not true. My nose does not look like I'm Asian, but I know I can verify with all my Asian friends. They're like, no, and that you're crazy. Like, I know, but in contrast with kind of like the ignorance of like the Mexicans, were like, I grew up with all Mexicans, so we never see anyone who's from another country. So you kind of like, oh, you're the one that have small eyes, so you're the Asian one or something. Or even like when I was trying to play the Power Rangers, I will always be the yellow one, and I always wanted to be the pink.
That's so funny. Do you feel like that part of that, like just growing up in Mexico and getting teased a little bit, motivated you to work harder and like have this really amazing aesthetic and just be at the level that you are now?
Yeah, but you know what? Even like the teasing, like I don't think it affected much of, because I kind of already had like my thing going on, and I think it's the whole being a single child, like you kind of get used to not fitting in anyway. Yeah. If that makes any sense? Because there's no sibling to like compare you with, so it's kind of like, well, I guess, I don't know, you don't like it, well, I'm sorry. Like I always kind of had that type of personality. And it kind of helps you just like own who you are even more, like you can. Yeah. Well, for me, it was kind of more of finding myself because I didn't know, like I didn't have a mirror, right? Because when you have a sister or a brother, they'll be like, oh, don't wear that, you look stupid. And you're like, why? Well, because that haircut is ugly. And then you're like, oh shit, okay, you're right, but for me, because I never had someone to tell me like, or compare myself with like, oh, my sister is skinnier, or oh, my brother, is more talented in this than me. Like I never had that type of, well, experience.
I think that's kind of cool, because I feel like you have such a unique style to you, and like your music, everything about you, your hair, your salon, and I think like that, like through all this, you were able to really find yourself and find what you like and become, Robotica Fury.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Oh, I love that. So I know you said you were also collaborating with some other local musicians like Jackie Mendoza. Could you tell me a little bit about the project that you're working on with her, and just what it is like to collaborate with other musicians, and just talk about that?
Yeah, so she's actually my client. Nice. And I've been following her music stuff. I really like her style, and she kind of reminds me a little bit of myself. Like, I don't know how much, I think she might be like 5 years younger than me. I'm not sure how much more younger than me she is, but but sometimes I'm like, oh, cool, like, she'll tell me about like her projects and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, like, like one day we should do something. So I finally sat down and I'm like, you know what, I think I'm gonna produce some songs, and maybe I'll do a project in Spanish. And I've never done I never even thought of doing like a whole project in Spanish. So I hit her up, and then she's like, yeah, let's do it, because she's been recently, she's in San Diego now, so then she came over, we did a couple of jams, and then we've been like playing around with a song and see what happens, like just for fun,
Yeah.
With the whole shutdown, it's kind of like
absolutely
nice to stay productive.
Yeah, and be creative. Like, what I was going to say was, what, like, from that and just playing around and making music, I know, like, right now you only have 2 songs released that we could really find online.
Yeah.
What do you feel that like there's anything holding you back from releasing more music or putting more of yourself out there?
Yeah. Yes, it's my cat. The
Your
cat.
Oh no.
He won't let me.
I think unleash the beast.
Well, honestly, I'm like in no rush of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many artists out there, and I don't feel like, oh, I need to be the famous and blah blah blah. Like, I feel like for me, music is kind of my therapy, and I don't want to exploit it. I mean, I already have my business, my salon, my hair product. For me, my music is like my safe zone. So whenever I put out a song, it's a song that I put a lot of work in. So I kind of want every song to be special. I don't want it to be just like content. Like, I get it. I mean, hey, yeah, it's a business, of course. No, you got to make money out of it. But in my case, I just kind of want to enjoy like each song, and the process and the producing the whole song, because I do the whole song from beginning to finish, starting the beat, then arranging the timing, then arranging the form, the shape, the waves, and then mastering it, and like the details, and then like it's like a painting basically. Like, you start with the base, then you do the white or the black, and then you do like, okay, the tracing, and then you do the texture, and then you take, you carve in, and then you put a little bit of gloss here and there, and then it starts taking shape. That's for me. Like, each song is that. Like, each song has its own personality to me.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's almost like how you do your, like, the hair and everything you do. I feel like it has such a beautiful style and way of doing everything, that you really take time to care about the details in each little piece of every project that you put yourself into. It's definitely felt through all your work. I feel like you can see like how much passion you put into everything. That's really beautiful. So no, seriously, I mean that. And like from there, your music video, Only Hope, that was just so well done, so high quality. And I know you worked with a really special director, Oka. Yeah. What was his name? Oka Mayora?
Minoku.
Minoru.
Minoru.
Oka
Minoru.
So what was it like working with him and just the process of making that music video?
Minoru Oki. He is really cool. I mean, come on now. This guy, he's like me. I don't know. I think he's late 40s. I'm not sure. I didn't ask how old he is. But he for sure is like 80s, from that generation, like Japan 80s guy. I mean, I saw some of his pictures when he was younger, and I was like, whoa, like this was a cool guy, okay? Like, the whole like 80s haircut and like oversized like jacket, and he's just like really good looking Japanese man, right? And he's been doing film all his life. He does special effects for horror movies, all kinds of movies. Right now I think he's doing some series or something. But from the music scene, when I used to be in a band, I met this Japanese girl from this Japanese band, and then we stayed in touch. And when I told her I was gonna go to Japan for vacation, I said, hey, you know what? Do you know anyone that does, film? I just kind of want to take advantage of my trip, and just in case. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it's okay, but it'll be cool if it does. And so she referred me to a guy, and then this guy referred me to this other guy, and then this guy is like, you know what, I have this friend, he's gonna love your song. So then he sent me to this guy, and then he's like, hey, hello, I'm Minoru, blah blah. And then he's like, I heard your song. I'm like, oh really? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well. And then he's like, you know what, I love that song so much that you don't even have to pay me.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
I'm like, no way. So I paid him though. But he did offer not to pay me, but I'm like, no.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I can't do this. No, I'm like, no, Minoru. I will pay you. But he did say.
That's amazing.
That. He's like, you know what? This is he's gonna be so fun to do this video that I don't even care. I'm like, oh really? Oh, that's so nice. But it was like, we just did it in one day, in 6 hours.
Incredible. That's incredible.
He knew exactly like where to shoot. He already had the places. Like, okay, get in the car. Next lock. Okay, get in the car. Toon, 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 toon. And then he knew my angles. Like, he just made me that day. He knew like where to no, it was amazing. And this guy was like running. He was like from one corner to another, like, okay, and I'm like, dang, this guy is like legit. I mean, I kind of want him to do another video. But here's a fun fact about the video, is that he just did the footage, but I edited the video.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's very so clean, so like you did an incredible job.
I told him, I mean, with all the good shots that he do, they're so amazing. I'm like, it doesn't need much editing, like just each shot is so amazing. I'm like, if I have just with good footage, it's easy. So I'm like, it's okay, just send me the footage, because he was very busy. So I'm like, it's okay, just send me the footage and I'll edit it. I don't care. Like, let's do this. So it was kind of like my practice in editing video. I kind of practice a lot in that video. Yeah.
Well, it was amazing. And I know you were sitting on it for about a year before you actually released it out to the public. What did it feel like when you actually put it out there and like released it for people to see?
So the reason why I waited so long was because when I was editing the video, I noticed that in the background it said Merry Christmas on a lot of like the footage. And I was like, I mean, it was just a personal goal, right? Yeah, like, I don't care. I mean, whatever. People will be like, we don't care, really. We don't even know you or your music. But for me, it was that it bothered me so much that it said Merry Christmas in the background. And it was like August or something.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to wait until Christmas time to put it out.
There you go.
I mean, it doesn't matter, really. I mean, it's not like I'm, like, performing on anything. So I'm like, I'm just going to put it out on Christmas because it makes sense, right? I mean, whatever.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's so cool. It's like, from everything we've talked about today, it's just like you do things your way. And I think that holds so much value, that you stay true to how you want to do something, how you want to put yourself out there, how you want to make music, how you want to do hair. And that's just really admirable. So many people are just like, okay, they'll just follow along or go with the flow. But you're just like, nah, I want my shit to be really good. I want it to look this way. And this is who I am. So I love that. I love that about you. That's beautiful. Okay. Now, what was the weirdest thing that you've done during quarantine or COVID? What's the weirdest thing that you've done to just like?
I know exactly what it is. Oh my God! So there was a moment when I was going so crazy that oh my God, you're gonna fucking laugh. So so you know my friend Diana, no? Lola Ray. The local DJ, she works with me.
I think so. Yes, yeah, I do. Uh-huh.
So she's an amazing DJ now, and I was like, and I also sometimes DJ like here and there with her, for to party. Well, when we cool to party, and I was like, Diana, I have an idea, and then just like, and I'm like, Diana, drop everything. Okay. This is what we're gonna do, okay? Do you have a pickup truck? Does anyone in our like friends have a pickup truck or something? And she's like, no, what? What do you mean? Why? And I'm like, okay, does your car have like a rooftop where we can open and be outside? And she's like, oh, maybe I can ask like my boyfriend or something. I'm like, why? And I'm like, because I think we should do like a drive, like DJ set, like put all our equipment in the car and just like. Yes. Came out of like the roof or like whatever in the back, like Mad Max. Remember that scene with the guitar guy? Yes. With like the speakers and they have lights, and then we just like drive by playing our set, and we can't get in trouble because we're in movement. So
I love that.
It would be cool. It would be so right. Isn't that such a cool idea? And we were so close to do it. we're like, okay, here's where we're gonna get the generator and blah blah blah.
What happened?
We just didn't do it. We were kind of like, you know what? Yeah, let's just think about it a little more and see if we still want to do it. And we're like, no, it's too risky, too crazy. I mean, that was when it was like really hardcore, like shut down, and no one was out there. And also, we're just kind of like too tired. I don't know, kind of like we were like in that funk in between, like a little depressed and wanting to do things, but confused, you know.
It's been a whirlwind, 2020 and even 2021. I feel like there's light though at the end of the tunnel, and you know, so I see hope. I see live music coming back. The vaccines are out. We have a new president, so I feel like things are going to get better. And from that, what message of hope or love or inspiration can you give to your fans, to the people, to the world? What message can you give to?
Well, my song, My Only Hope.
I love it. Go listen.
You answer your own.
It's beautiful. We have hope with this lovely lady who.
It's all on the lyric.
Just listen to her music, listen SD. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and talking. And I guess real quick before you say goodbye, if you want to give any shout outs to any local artists, local businesses, and...
Yeah, well, I want to give a shout out to all my girl musicians. Like my favorite girls are Monica Mendoza, which has got the Girl Independent Ladies concept. Who else? Jackie Mendoza, another Mendoza. Oh my God, Monica Mendoza, Jackie Mendoza. Niña Dios.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's cool too. Really cool rapper girl from Mexico City.
Love it.
And also Justin Park, a Korean singer based in LA. He's pretty awesome, pretty talented kid. I mean, he's like maybe what? I actually don't know how old he is, but I know he's way younger than me. And this guy can produce like a crazy, like a computer nerd. I mean, I don't think he's a nerd, but he very talented. You know who else I'm gonna give a shout out? He's gonna die. Jesus the Punk, my friend Jesus. Dang, this guy, he's a local producer. He's been doing so well. I mean, I've known him since we were like 19, and he used to play the drums in my ex-boyfriend's band. That's how we met. So he's so talented. He actually we've done a couple of jams together in the past.
Love it. Awesome. Well, check out all these artists, and thank you again so much for chatting with That Fucking Panda with Listen SD. Go check out Edna's music, Robotica Fury. If you need a haircut, go check out her salon when we're able to again. And yeah, any last words? Listen SD.
Yes, I love the Fucking Panda.
I love you too.
I'm the number one fan.
Okay. Take care, guys. We love you. Stay safe.
Bye.
Mwah.